In 2008, the world was shaken by one of the most disturbing crimes ever uncovered. Behind the walls of a seemingly ordinary home in a quiet Austrian town, Josef Fritzl had been hiding a horrifying secret for 24 years. His daughter, Elisabeth, had been imprisoned in a hidden basement, cut off from the outside world, where she endured unimaginable suffering at the hands of her own father. The twisted tale of captivity, manipulation, and unspeakable cruelty resulted in 7 children being born in the darkness. This case shocked not just Austria, but the entire world, as the full extent of Fritzl's monstrous actions came to light. Stay with us as we unravel the chilling story of one of the most notorious crimes in modern history. Welcome to 10-Minute Crime. I'm your host Josh. Let's get into the notorious case of Josef Fritzl. His father left when Fritzl was young, and he was raised by his mother, who was described as strict and controlling. The absence of a father figure, combined with an authoritarian upbringing, has been cited by some experts as possible factors that shaped Fritzl's later behavior. Despite these challenging beginnings, Fritzl appeared to lead a relatively ordinary life. He became an engineer, married Rosemary in 1956, and together they had 7 children. To those around him, Fritzl was seen as a respectable family man, but beneath this facade, he harbored deeply troubling desires that would ultimately lead to devastating consequences for his own daughter. The beginning of Elisabeth's imprisonment. In 1984, Josef Fritzl's daughter Elisabeth, then 18 years old, disappeared. Fritzl told authorities and family members that she had likely run away to join a religious group, and for years, this explanation was accepted. However, the truth was far more disturbing. Unbeknownst to everyone, Fritzl had been planning for years to imprison Elisabeth in a secret basement beneath their family home. On August 28, 1984, he lured Elisabeth into the basement under the guise of needing her help with household tasks. Once she was there, he locked her in a hidden room that he had meticulously constructed to ensure she would remain isolated from the outside world. This marked the beginning of a 24-year period of captivity, during which Elisabeth was subjected to unimaginable isolation and control. Life in captivity. Elisabeth's life in captivity was marked by extreme isolation. The basement consisted of small, windowless rooms where she was confined for the majority of her time. The space Fritzl had constructed was soundproof and sealed with reinforced doors, ensuring that no one would hear or discover what was happening. Fritzl controlled all aspects of Elisabeth's life, including when she could see light and who she could interact with. Over the next 24 years, Elisabeth gave birth to 7 children, 3 of whom lived with her in the basement. The other 3 were taken upstairs by Fritzl, where he convinced his wife, Rosemary, that Elisabeth had abandoned them. Rosemary, unaware of the true situation, helped raise these children as their own, while the rest of the family lived in extreme isolation below. The children who lived in the basement with Elisabeth never saw the outside world, never felt sunlight, and had minimal contact with anyone other than their mother. Elisabeth did her best to care for them, but the psychological toll on both her and her children was severe. The unraveling of Fritzl's secret. Fritzl's double life continued until April 2008, when his secret began to unravel. Elisabeth's eldest daughter, Kirsten, fell gravely ill and required urgent medical attention. After years of pleading with her father, Elisabeth convinced him to take Kirsten to the hospital. Fritzl reluctantly agreed, but maintained the cover story that Kirsten had been left on their doorstep by Elisabeth, who he claimed had joined a cult. However, the hospital staff became suspicious when they realized that Kirsten had never received proper medical care. Their concerns prompted an investigation, and soon after, authorities began looking deeper into Fritzl's story. As the investigation intensified, Fritzl had no choice but to bring Elisabeth and her remaining children out of the basement. On April 26, 2008, after 24 years in captivity, Elisabeth and her children were finally freed. Elisabeth bravely revealed the full extent of what had happened, and the truth about Fritzl's horrific actions came to light. Arrest and trial. Josef Fritzl was arrested on April 26, 2008, and his crimes shocked the world. News of the case quickly spread, and the public struggled to comprehend how such atrocities could have gone unnoticed for so long. Neighbors, friends, and even Fritzl's own family had no idea that he was capable of such cruelty. Fritzl's trial began in March 2009, where he faced multiple charges, including kidnapping, false imprisonment, and other serious offenses. The evidence against him was overwhelming. DNA tests confirmed that Fritzl was the biological father of Elisabeth's children, and the court heard extensive testimony about the conditions in which she and her children had lived. During the trial, Fritzl initially claimed that he had confined Elisabeth to protect her from the outside world, but this argument was quickly dismissed as self-serving and delusional. On March 19, 2009, Fritzl was found guilty on all charges and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is currently serving his sentence in a special facility for mentally ill offenders. Psychological analysis of Josef Fritzl. Understanding Fritzl's motivations has been the subject of significant debate among psychologists. Many have labeled him as a narcissist with a deep need for control and dominance. His ability to live a double life, appearing as a responsible citizen while perpetrating horrific acts in private, speaks to his capacity for manipulation and deceit. Experts have suggested that Fritzl's upbringing, particularly his relationship with his authoritarian mother, may have contributed to his need for control. His actions in imprisoning Elisabeth were not just about physical confinement. They were about maintaining absolute control over another human being. This need for dominance drove his behavior for more than 2 decades, creating a deeply disturbing dynamic that allowed him to keep his crimes hidden. Impact and legacy. The discovery of Josef Fritzl's crimes had a profound impact on Austria and the wider world. The case raised significant questions about how such extreme abuse could remain undetected for so long, despite the fact that Fritzl's family and neighbors lived in close proximity. In response, Austria implemented reforms to improve child protection laws and prevent similar situations from occurring in the future. Elisabeth and her children were placed under psychological care and given new identities following their rescue. While the trauma they endured will likely stay with them for the rest of their lives, reports suggest that they have made strides in their recovery. Elisabeth, in particular, has been praised for her incredible strength and resilience in surviving such an unimaginable ordeal. The Fritzl case has also become a landmark example in the field of psychology, as researchers continue to study the dynamics of captivity, control, and abuse. It serves as a reminder of the potential for evil within individuals and the importance of vigilance in identifying and preventing abuse. Josef Fritzl's crimes stand as one of the most shocking examples of human cruelty in modern history, and the impact of his actions will never be forgotten. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more in-depth true crime stories. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm your host Josh, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.